Namaskar. Hello and welcome to 𝗏𝗙𝗎 channel. I'm your host Sridhar. This is a special transmission of Daily Global Insight with Sridhar Chityala ji. We have a lot of ground to cover, so I'm going to jump right to it. Sridhar ji, namaskar and welcome to 𝗏𝗙𝗎 channel. How are you, sir?
Namaskar. Good morning to you. Doing very well, Sriji, and looking forward to this what you call sing and dance or song and dance event that took
Absolutely,
place.
sir. But Trump has covered a lot of ground. We have to give him credit where credit is due. Let's jump right into it, sir. Over to you.
Great. Okay, so I think that he came in with great expectations, and I would say he delivered from an optics and politics point of view. Everywhere, rah rah rah, success, success, success. So therefore, he landed in Malaysia for the ASEAN Summit, and you could see Anwar Ibrahim always with him. He's the leader of the ASEAN. He currently leads the ASEAN chair. And a lot of discussions with ASEAN leaders. Simultaneously, there was also the Chinese premier at that same meeting. So we'll flip the slide, please. Right. So let's start with the US-China. Okay, everybody. I mean, we talked about it a couple of days ago. This specific show is to basically say what happened. So a deal was done. There was a deal, and as 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗧𝗏 put it, there's a framework for them to discuss the deal. What did they do? They spent 1 hour, 40 minutes. They knew what they need. Each person needed to do. Effectively delayed the rare earth restrictions by 1 year, and that is to be renewed year after year. So Trump thinks he has secured access to the Chinese rare earths without any impingement or restrictions placed. By the way, just to on the same point, India, which also struck a similar kind of a deal with China, and apparently the first consignment of rare earths are flowing into to India as well. So that deal seems to be working. So this also probably will go down the same track, and they will do annual reviews. Then there was discussion around fentanyl, and this has been a problem for United States as a token gesture. He reduced the tariffs by 10%. So it went down from 57% to 47%. Everybody said kind of rah, rah, rah. Next slide. Then he said China to Xi Jinping said he will resume purchase of American soybeans and other agro products. And there was no discussion on the advanced Blackwell chips that NVIDIA has. And he said on all other matters, all other chips, Xi Jinping and United States chip manufacturers can discuss. He left it at a broad sweeping point. We covered this. There's no discussions on Taiwan. So Taiwan was not brought up at all. And this is the other important development, which is Trump to visit China in April, followed by Xi's visit to the US. So what you call as ceremonial and symbolic and optical things took place, and the most important element here being the issue around restrictions, and that seems to have been lifted for 1 year, and then for them to renegotiate the deal. The meeting just lasted 1 hour 40 minutes, and both leaders left for their respective countries after that. That itself tells you that this was stage managed, song and dance. Both Xi wanted to work out with success, and President Trump wanted to work out with success, reduce the animosity, reduce the tensions, but at least show to the world that they've done something. And with that, they kind of left. Because when you look at what took place in Korea and Japan, clearly what was signaled was tensions on China and North Korea. We'll cover that in a minute.
Before we go to the other deals, yours, there are lots of deals to discuss about. I just want one line observation from you, sir. Has China acknowledged that they are the source of fentanyl?
The fact that they told Trump they will attempt to make all efforts that infiltration or illegal transportation of fentanyl occurs is a reflection of acknowledgement, saying, hey, I am the source of supply. What they're saying is that if it happens to be from China, we'll take all avenues to to bring it down, and for which Trump acknowledged and said, okay, if you do so, as a gesture, we are reducing your tariffs by 10%. So both the parties acknowledge it is China, and China acknowledges that it will revalidate and look at how to mitigate the supply of fentanyl. That in itself is, you have to assume as acknowledgement, Sriji.
Thank you so much, sir. Let's go to the next one, please. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, right. So we're going in the reverse order. China last. Then from where did he come from? He came from Korea. Okay. So then there was this U.S., Japan, South Korea tariff deal, right? So what does Trump do? Trump was able to extract close to $900 billion from these two countries for investment into United States. Whatever you may want to say, that's a significant amount of money in terms of flowing into. So the Korea's $350 billion investment commitment is split into two phases. One is $200 billion in cash, and that will be paid in installments of $20 billion per year. That is a cash flow, and it will be directed towards investments, and the profits from the investments will be split 50-50. What they are will be determined by the Commerce Secretary or Trade and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Okay, 50-50 profit to be shared, and the investment going from Korea. I mean, it's a very interesting kind of an approach where and US is saying, hey, Korea, you put money, but you have to give us the profits. Korea also gains nod to process nuclear fuel because it needs to power its submarines, and it uses a processed nuclear fuel. So it can track both Chinese and North Korean vessels, which constantly navigate around the Korean Sea. So therefore, he gained the support up until now. That has been stalled. There's also another important development, nothing to do with the trade deal, and US is going to resume its nuclear activities, which it had stopped about 25 to 26 years ago. They immediately gave a nod for the nuclear developments to take place. Why? Because he is now afraid that both Russia, China, North Korea are moving forward, and so therefore he cannot afford to keep quiet. That also occurred post in Korea after all these deals were done. Next slide. Okay, now US-Japan trade deal. What is US-Japan trade deal? It effectively means that it announces, he reaffirms his commitment to the defense partnership with Japan, and Japan reaffirms its commitment to the strategic defense support, what we call self-defense forces. So for self-defense, they are equipped with F-35 jets. They are applied with, they were supposed to be supplied with the dome, and also immediate release of tactical missiles to be fitted into the F-35 jets. Why? Because again, they fear from Russia, China, and North Korea. So you take a look, you have a Japan deal, you have a Korea deal, which basically acknowledges that that China and North Korea are a threat. Then you do a China deal, then you go there and you do a defense partnership. Remember, the origins of US-Japan strategic defense partnership going to Shinzo Abe time, that's when Quad was formed. And that's around the defense. Recall, Sriji, we continue to mention, and people have forgotten, that Quad will be dismantled from Biden time. It happened. Now, Trump has also dismantled, notwithstanding the fact that the meetings continue to happen amongst the Quad leaders, Quad countries leaders. It's not material in terms of its movement forward. Both leaders voiced concern over threats from China and North Korea. Both nations signed MOU to boost shipbuilding. Now, shipbuilding is something that China has, US lacks. Remember, we covered this in 2 DGIs ago, which is to say that US and Japan lack relative to the Chinese. Hence, U.S. imposed sanctions on Chinese ships or tariffs on Chinese ships docking. Again, this is all interconnected from the perspective of how they are playing this strategic game. Okay, so they signed an MOU to boost shipbuilding, and everywhere you go, there are three common themes: rare earths, defense, and supply chains, pharmaceuticals. These four elements are pharmaceuticals or chemicals. These four aspects continue to feature in these deals that has taken place in the ASEAN broader North Asian region. So Japanese PM, no surprise, Sane Takaichi, plans to recommend Trump to Nobel Peace Prize, the White House says. This is announced by the White House secretary. So, I mean, that's why I say it's a song and dance. It's a laughing matter that, these, everywhere he goes, this Nobel Peace Prize, pops up. It seems to be an agenda that is implanted into the minds of the people, of these leaders. Next slide. Okay, now come to ASEAN. I mean, you talk about song and dance. This is a real song and dance. And the US says, hey, I hail all the trade partnerships. Do you know who is the largest trading partner of ASEAN? China. Do you know what the volume of trade between ASEAN and China? Close to $1 trillion, around 943 billion. Do you know what's the trade between United States and ASEAN? $443 billion. Yet there is a strategic agreement in place where most of these ASEAN countries have a security umbrella and deal with United States. If anybody attacks United States, if anybody attacks any of these countries, then you have the US coming into play in terms of thwarting. There was fears whether US would withdraw. No, he said, we are here for long term. We are here to support. Okay, you know that they have a deal with Malaysia, they have a deal with Singapore, they have a deal with Philippines, they have a deal with South Korea. All of these are in that adjacent region. They don't have a deal with Vietnam. They don't have a deal with Thailand, but they have a deal with Philippines. They have a deal with Singapore. They have a deal with Malaysia. They will soon have a deal with Indonesia too. Okay, it also signs a 0% tariff deal with Malaysia, Thailand, and Cambodia, and cuts the reciprocal tariffs to 19%. They were around 40% and 50% and so on. That has been cut. Either way, Thailand agrees to buy agro products, energy supplies, and aircraft. I told you that is always about this defense. It seems to be the defense exports of United States have been reignited, and Indonesia says it also seeks a similar kind of a tariff reduction. Vietnam said unilateral access to my market, anything that you want, we will take it. And their tariffs will continue to remain at 20%. Remember when the tariff started, it was around 80%. So Trump reaffirms 100% US commitment to ASEAN, vows to continue security pact, and promises to further expand the trade. And I think I touched this, it's about 443 billion. Really, US and ASEAN have to do a lot. But when you listen to the voices in the region, they're more speaking of China rather than United States. Again, this is all about song and dance, but he has successfully completed the song and dance routine. He has gone back, and Xi Jinping has gone back saying, I came, I met, and I invited him. He's coming to China, and I've done a deal with on the Reds with United States. By the way, China didn't ask for anything from United States, anything. And only thing is he reduced 10% by saying, I'll assess the fentanyl supplies and see whether it is being illegally sent into United States. For that, he gets 10%, immediate 10% even without validation.
Sridharji, a couple of observations. One is, viewers, certainly this does not have Xi's signature. There are other people working behind the scenes, and they probably told Xi. In fact, he's reading from prepared notes. He's not speaking extempore. That means he has been told to follow a certain script, and I think he was dutifully following that. We're going to talk about the leadership of the CCP party in about half an hour's time with the three good generals. So come back for that one, because that's going to be much more incisive in nature. Sridharji, the way I see it, second point, sir, the way I see it is United States has 1 year to figure out a way to wean itself away from its dependence on China, especially for its military components. And how quickly US is going to pivot and do that with all the funding coming from all these countries. That is probably the number one priority for the United States. They'll have to figure out a way, and they'll have to figure it out very fast. As a matter of fact, new research from universities in US states that there are alternatives to processing the rare earths and in a more clean manner than what is being done in China to extract the rare earths. And that could also be a boost. For there is a third one, and I want your opinion on this. Viewers, we may not have time for questions, but I just want to talk about lots of stuff going on. Okay, sir, there is a proposal to build a tunnel between Alaska and Russia, and this tunnel is intended to try and make it easy for trade goods to move back and forth, plus to facilitate rare earth mining, especially in Russia, because America needs it badly. So now there is a move, just like in 1971, Nixon and Kissinger split China away from Russia by talking to China. Here, it's the reverse of that, the way I see it. Your thoughts on that, sir?
Well, I think first and foremost, Trump and Putin have long enjoyed, a relationship. Okay, now the question is, these projects take a long period of time.
Yes.
When you take a look at Democrats, Democrats have no sympathy for Russia. Okay, it's almost like Cold War being reenacted. That's what happened in 4 years of Biden administration, and the whole Ukraine stuff occurred. And this war is as a result of provocative actions from United States, but to start with from Britain, and then Europe got entangled, and then it spun out of control. So to me, I mean, yeah, these are all great ideas. The question is there political will, and where is the capital? There's no capital. You see, for example, if you say that United States has got so much of natural reserves in the Alaskan basin, and you extract those natural gas, liquefy it, because you can't lay long pipes from there all the way to Southeast Asia, but you make investments to liquefy and store it in containers and ship it across, that is going to immensely benefit United States in a number of ways, both strategic as well as in its liquidity situation from a debt point of view. Now, as far as the defense is concerned, I mean, Democrats have no interest. They unwound everything. Now, you mean 4 years, during this 4 years of administration, we are going to implement all of these things? No. I mean, we stopped so much of defense activity in the 4 years. And that's the reason why the American defense industry is pleading that they allow this defense industry to do a deal with India, so they can localize the manufacture in India, and they can basically produce stuff which they can export, because nothing is happening in United States, Sriji. Nobody is talking about revitalizing the defense. The fact that this is probably a separate topic which we'll cover, the defense industry is now has been opened to venture capitalists. So innovation and stuff can happen from outside. That is the state of affairs of the US defense ecosystem right now, Sriji.
Thank you so much, sir. Maybe we have one or two questions that we can take up, and then we can wrap this thing up. Certainly, viewers, a lot to mull over, because I think this is a successful trip for Trump for having concluded so many deals. It is interesting to note that Cambodia is getting away with a much lesser tariff because it is supposed to be a conduit of Chinese-made products, Chinese-sourced products coming into United States. Now, China is also opening new places, like for example, Morocco, I'm hearing. So, even as you close one door, another door is being opened by China. That's how they operate. So we'll wait and see how that goes. Let's take a couple of questions now, please.
Yeah, one important point I want to make. There's a report coming out that says a lot of goods that has come in manufactured in China has come into United States with made in Korea mark, not scrutinized in the ports, but subsequently discovered, and that is how it has come to surface that many of these are Chinese manufactured goods. So there's very interesting ways by which China can beat US, and they are looking down the barrel on a number of these fronts, Sriji. Sorry.
Also, viewers, just like United States interferes in other countries' politics, China has started doing that too. People are saying that even in South Korea, one party leans towards China. So we'll keep you covered on it. It's a mess. That's all I can tell. You can't fix your own country's problems when you want to go and fix other countries' problems. I find that highly objectionable. Let's take questions now, please. Maithili wants to know, is India the toughest of all negotiators with the United States?
Yes, the answer is yes. India has not conceded anything. So because I think it has found the inside snippets, and Modi is in a very strong position, is very well supported by a number of countries. And I think this Operation Sindoor has given such enormous clout, because any country, not just economics, but also the military and defense strength, and I think India has proven. So India is therefore saying, no, we're not bending to your rules because we are now a very strong country. Yeah.
Next one, please. Ashish Hegde wants to know, US-China ensuring India does not become a manufacturing hub in the future. G2 Zindabad, what can India do to get to 5% of the global manufacturing?
Well, they've just announced a project where they're going to put significant amount of government allocated capital to lift manufacturing and go from 24% or 27% to about 35% of GDP. Yes, they have a plan. They have allocated capital, and you can see one after the other, they are going after big ticket items in terms of indigenizing the manufacturing process. There's a strategy. The question is, whether BJP will continue to sustain, survive, and political and other kinds of petty projects don't come and stall. That's the only issue. But I think on several factors, I think India has a pretty good strategy and capital.
Thank you so much, sir. And viewers, I would request you to take a look at some of the monologues I put out. For example, how realistic is a gold-backed currency in modern day times? Take a look at that, because it talks about what Sridharji alluded to, about China's business with ASEAN. And then we are also going to be looking at many other things around this. The strip mining that we did on UK, France, and Germany was a big success. I'm going to be having a follow-up on United States, what has happened in United States. After all, this is the guru which does these things, and then it goes to other countries and gets modified and enhanced. So we are going to be doing that. So please take a look at some of the things that may not be direct politics or geopolitics, but it is finance and economics, and that will give you an idea of what are all the different layers at which all these games are being played. It's just mind-boggling. And do come back in half an hour's time. We're going to talk about Chinese leadership and some other issues with the three good generals. Sridharji, thank you so much, sir. If you have news, we'll be back on Sunday also at 7 p.m. As always, a pleasure having you on our platform, sir. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you. Namaskar, and have a good day, Sriji.